Hi everybody! For this week's art activity, we're going to be making some pop-up art. And by that I mean art that starts out flat, and when you open it up, it becomes a 3D design. The cool thing about pop-up art is that it can help show the different areas of space in an artwork. In an artwork, things that are in the very front, so in this case it would be the UFO, these are part of the foreground. Things that are a little bit further away, so in this case things like the barn and the little cow here, are considered to be part of the middle ground. And then things that are all the way in the back, things like the sky and the clouds, these are parts of the background. So foreground is in the front, middle ground is in the middle, and background is in the back. For today's activity, you're going to be making some pop-up art of your own, but it does not have to be this kind of design. I chose to make an alien flying through a farm, but you could make your design anything that you choose. You could do food, you could do cars, you could do plants, totally up to you. For this activity, you are going to need a couple things. You're going to need, first of all, 2 pieces of paper. You're going to need something to draw with, so you could use a marker or you could use a pencil. You're going to need some scissors and some glue, and I'm using a glue stick, but you could use regular liquid glue as long as you give it time to dry. And you're also going to need something to color with, which could be anything. It could be crayons, markers, colored pencils, totally up to you. So once you've gathered all your materials, it's time to get started.
The first thing you're going to do when creating your pop-up design is to decide what kind of images you'd like to use. I think for my design, I'm going to put some desserts on a table. Now, for the actual desserts, I don't want them to be too big, so I'm going to start out by folding my paper in half. And then I'm going to fold it one more time. So that when I open my paper up, I have some small sections, and I'm not going to make any of my drawings bigger than my sections. I'm going to keep them so that they fit inside of the rectangle. When creating your images, you don't have to use all 4 sections of your paper. 2 or 3 is okay. I think for my design, I'm going to place a cupcake and a teacup on my table. Notice how I've kept both of my drawings small enough that they fit inside of the rectangles. Once I have drawn everything that I would like to include in my artwork, it's time to color. Once you finish coloring, it's time to cut out your designs. Once your objects have been cut out, set them aside and grab your next piece of paper. This paper is going to make up the surface and the background for your design. Take your paper and fold it in half. Now when you open it up, the part that's on the table here is going to be the surface. So this is, in my case, going to be the table that I put my objects on. The part that's standing up is going to be the background. So now is the time where I need to decide what kind of design I want to put underneath my objects. I think I'm going to put a pattern on the bottom part of the paper to show a tablecloth, and in the back I'm going to draw a window as if there were a wall behind my objects. I have finished coloring the surface for my pop-up design. So again, when I fold it now, this part is where my objects are going to stand up, and this part in the back will be my background, so they will appear to be behind my objects. Next, I'm going to be cutting some lines into my paper to help my objects stand up. So for this step, you're going to turn your paper and close it. When you cut, it's important to make sure you're cutting on the right side. You do not want to cut from the side that's open. Instead, you want to cut from the side where the fold is. Depending on how long your cuts are, that's going to determine whether your image is in the front or in the back of your design. For images that you want to be in the front, your lines are going to be a little bit longer. I'm going to draw my lines with Sharpie just so that it's easier for me to see, and you can do the same on your paper with a Sharpie or a pencil. The object that I want to be in the front is the cupcake, so I'm going to make those lines a little bit longer. Starting from the side where the fold is, I'm going to make my lines go up, and I'm going to make one more that matches it right next to it. I want the cup to be a little bit further behind, so I'm not going to make the lines as long. I'm going to make them a little bit shorter, and I think I'll have it on this side. So I'm going to make one line and then another one that matches it. Next, while keeping your paper closed, you're going to cut on these lines. Next, take the strip that you've cut and fold it up. And then lay it back down. Turn your paper over, do the same thing. Up and up. Now when you open up your paper, those strips can be pulled forward. So you're going to want to pull them out, and then while they're still out, you can close your paper and press. So now you see that when I open my paper, those strips will stick up. Next, you're going to glue your objects to the front of the strips. So here, this is the front, and the part that's facing up is the top. You don't want to put glue here, only on the front. I'm going to grab my glue stick, and on the front, I'll add my glue. Take the object that I want to glue down and place it on that strip where the glue is. And I'm just gonna press it so that I know it sticks really well. And again, if you're going to use liquid glue for this, that's fine. Just make sure you give it time to dry. Let's do the other one. Glue on the front. Take your object and press. I'm going to give my design a couple minutes to dry. Now that my design is dry, I can fold it closed and it will lay flat so that when I open it, my objects will stand out. I feel like this space over here is a little empty. I think I'm going to add another object to my artwork.
All right, everybody, so I have finished my pop-up design. It lays flat, and then when I open it, the desserts pop up. And in my design, you can see the foreground, which is the area in the very front, the middle ground, which is in the middle, and then the background is behind everything else. Remember that in your design, you do not have to use these same kind of objects. You could do anything that you want. It could be fish, it could be plants, 100% up to you to come up with a design that you love. So I cannot wait to see the amazing things that you create this week. Bye, everybody.